Canada didn't lose this game, but somehow it felt like they did. Coming into the 2026 World Cup, Canada had everything going for them. They were playing on home soil, the stadium was packed, the atmosphere was electric, and millions of fans believed this was finally the tournament where Canadian football would announce itself to the world. But then Bosnia and Herzegovina happened. What was supposed to be a statement victory quickly turned into a frustrating reality check. And by the final whistle, one question was hanging over the entire tournament. Does Canada actually have what it takes to go deep in this World Cup? The match started exactly how most people expected. Canada pushed forward, controlled possession, and looked determined to put Bosnia under pressure early. The crowd sensed a breakthrough was coming. But football doesn't always follow the script. Against the run of expectations, Bosnia struck first. A simple corner kick exposed Canada's defense, and suddenly the hosts found themselves trailing in a game they were supposed to dominate. The stadium went silent, not because Canada were playing badly, but because nobody saw this coming, and that's when Bosnia revealed their master plan. They didn't come to entertain, they came to frustrate. Every Canadian attack was met with discipline. Every dangerous run was tracked. Every cross was contested. Bosnia were organized, compact, and incredibly difficult to break down. The longer the game went on, the more nervous Canada looked. They had the ball, they had the territory, they had the crowd behind them, but they didn't have the one thing that mattered most: goals. And that's where the real story begins, because this match exposed Canada's biggest weakness. Their attack is exciting, but excitement doesn't always equal efficiency. Canada play with energy, intensity, and aggression. They love pressing high, they love attacking quickly, they love creating chaos for defenders. But when Bosnia sat deep and forced them to be patient, Canada struggled. The movement was there, the effort was there, the opportunities were there. The finishing wasn't. Time after time, promising attacks broke down at the final moment. The final pass was missing. The finishing touch wasn't clinical enough. And with every missed opportunity, Bosnia grew stronger mentally. Then came the moment that saved Canada's night. With just over 10 minutes remaining, substitute Cyle Larin stepped up. One chance, one finish. One massive sigh of relief, the stadium erupted. Canada had finally found the breakthrough. At 1-1, disaster had been avoided. But had the bigger problem really been solved? Not even close. Because if Canada needed nearly 80 minutes to score against Bosnia, what happens when they face the tournament's elite teams? What happens against the heavyweights? What happens when chances are even harder to create? Those questions won't disappear after this draw. And that's why this result feels so strange. Officially, Canada earned a point. Emotionally, it felt like a warning. Meanwhile, Bosnia deserve enormous credit. Most people expected them to be overwhelmed by the occasion. Instead, they looked composed, disciplined, fearless. They defended brilliantly, frustrated an entire stadium, and left the pitch knowing they had shaken one of the tournament hosts. In many ways, Bosnia proved one of football's oldest truths. You don't need possession to control a match. You need a plan. And Bosnia executed theirs perfectly. For Canada, the positives are obvious. They showed character, they refused to quit, and they earned a valuable point. But the negatives are impossible to ignore. This tournament will only get harder. The pressure will only increase. And if Canada wants to make history on home soil, they must become far more ruthless in front of goal. Because possession won't win knockout games. Crowd support won't win knockout games. Potential won't win knockout games. Goals will. And against Bosnia and Herzegovina, Canada received a lesson they won't soon forget. A lesson that could define their entire World Cup journey. The hosts escaped with a draw. But the real question is, did Canada just reveal the weakness that could end their World Cup dream?